call of the Hogs can be heard all the way to San Francisco.
You're listening to Pod at the Palace with Curtis Wilkerson on Inside Arkansas.
What's up, everybody? Curtis Wilkerson here with Inside Arkansas for a special edition of the Pod at the Palace. Wanted to hit you guys with a little bit of a rapid reaction to the news here Tuesday evening that five-star class of 2026 guard Tay Kinney has moved his visit to Arkansas up, way up, actually. It starts tomorrow. He's going to be here in Northwest Arkansas. So this is according to a report from Joe Tipton. And so we need to talk about it a little bit. I already have a recorded Pod at the Palace for tomorrow morning, and that's going to go out as scheduled. But this is certainly notable, so I want to get some thoughts out on it pretty quickly here for sure. So we're all familiar with Tay Kinney at this point. If you listen to the Pod at the Palace, you certainly are. If you follow Razorback recruiting, you certainly are. He's one of the top point guards in the 2026 class. Just a dynamic playmaker who gets it done on both ends of the floor. Controversial figure. He's a big social media presence there. So some people vibe with what he does and other people get a little bit turned off by it. I like it, man. Bring all the exposure you want to yourself, especially when you can back it up out there on the floor. But I think he's one of the better shooters that Arkansas has been on. A good creator. He averaged, I think, 20 points, 5.5 assists, and shot 55% from the field as a junior last season at Overtime Elite. Really strong handle. He's got some wiggle to him, plays stronger than his size. I think he's more athletic than his size suggests. I think he has a lot of upside and a guy that can defend a little bit as well. So a good player, good creator. He does kind of check a lot of those boxes as your typical John Calipari freshman guard. And yes, as I mentioned, he is an Overtime Elite kid. He is also a Kentucky native from Newport, Kentucky, which means he grew up during the golden years of the John Calipari era there in Lexington. And, you know, Tay Kenny, we've talked about it. He really rocks with John Calipari, man. And Cal obviously likes him. There is a long-standing relationship, and there are plenty of connections between the two here. This didn't just start this spring, summer when he was balling out on the Adidas 3SSB. It didn't just start when he took the job at Arkansas. This has been a recruitment and relationship that is built over the years. And for a while there, you know, Arkansas had some strong momentum just within the last couple of months. Seemed like they were really making a push. He was prioritized by the Razorbacks. And, you know, if anybody was going to sneak in there on Louisville, who had been the leader for the longest, it felt like it might be the Razorbacks. But the further along we've gotten into the recruitment, the more it's kind of looked like things were trending towards one of the top Adidas athletes winding up at an Adidas school. And that's always kind of been the thing, right? He's been represented by Adidas. He plays on the Adidas circuit. And there's been a push there to make him an Adidas athlete in college, which means you need to go to an Adidas school. And so that's kind of been the thought process there. And again, Louisville was in the driver's seat for the longest, but Kansas has come on extremely strong since his recent visit there. It feels like they're probably the leader right now to wind up landing him. But the interesting thing, and we talked about a little bit on, I guess it was Monday's show, that Kenny had several visits still lined up for the rest of this month. It was kind of his visit tour that he had set up there. It was interesting over the weekend, though, that he canceled a trip to Texas. He canceled a trip to Miami, but he kept his Arkansas visit on the books. And I found that to be fascinating. Why would he do that? And you know, you think about that and then you think, okay, Kenny is one of the handful of guys who John Calipari has flown out to see in person during the recruiting period. He was out at Overtime Elite last week to check in on him. The picture was floating around. I should have pulled it up for this, but my thought process was I tend to doubt that John Calipari would be taking the time to fly and go see him when he go be seeing somebody else, that he would keep his visit if it was already a foregone conclusion that he was going to wind up elsewhere, whether it's Kansas, Louisville, somewhere else. And that was especially true when he announced a commitment date for September 28th in the afternoon, which would have been the exact day and time he would have been leaving his Arkansas visit, because it was originally scheduled for the Notre Dame weekend, right? The football weekend, not this coming one, but the next. So it's like, dang, is he really going to, step off campus and announce at XNA that he's going to Kansas or something? Like, it just seems weird. Why would you even keep that? Well, we started hearing Tuesday morning that his visit may move to this weekend, which we know is a big one for the Razorbacks. In fact, when you listen to the Pod at the Palace in the morning, you'll hear me kind of hint at that. Like, yes, I'm aware that Arkansas could be adding another five-star visitor with Jordan Smith Jr. and Arifan Gian over the course of this weekend. This is who I was referring to and hinting at. I recorded that at like 3 o'clock, and now I'm recording here at 7:20. And we know that Tay Kinney is now not visiting this weekend. He's visiting tomorrow, Wednesday. This thing is starting. So I don't know that there's going to be any overlap there. Maybe he's leaving as those guys are coming in. Doesn't matter. My expectation here is that Kinney is probably still going to wind up at Kansas or an Adidas school. The visit doesn't change that necessarily. But like I said, I just don't believe Cal would be doing the whole song and dance here if he felt like he was for sure out of it. Why do that? Just to give somebody the ammo to say, oh, John Calipari whiff, right? I don't know. So this is, at the very least, it's one that we're going to monitor closely the next couple of days here. And let's see what kind of smoke comes out of this, the post-visit kind of stuff, right? Because in the past, this type of scenario would be a classic John Calipari flex opportunity, wouldn't it? You know what I'm talking about? Like, you might think you have a guy locked up, but when I can come in and swoop him up whenever I want, and there's nothing you can do about it. He said that in the past about recruiting. And I would love to see him flex that type of muscle here. I would. At the very least here, it's kind of like we talked about the other day. John Calipari, he has a chance here to do the funniest thing, right? Wouldn't it be hilarious if it was just a foregone conclusion for the longest? Like, oh, yeah, the Kentucky kid, Adidas kid, he's going to Louisville. All right. Oh yeah, here comes Bill Self in Kansas. Yeah, Adidas. We know all about Adidas in Kansas, right? Oh, just kidding. He's going to Cal in Arkansas. It'd be hilarious, and it'd be a very John Calipari thing to do. Like I said, not necessarily anticipating it, but the thought of it excites me because it's the type of flex I've been asking Cal to do. Right? We talked about him backing up the Brinks truck for Arafan, which I think they're probably going to do this weekend. But one of those moves where it's like maybe you're not the favorite for somebody, or it just makes more sense for him to wind up somewhere else, and you just come in like a thief in the night and snatch him. Well, at least you got the opportunity to try to do that here. I don't know what Kenny's Adidas package would look like, NIL package. I'm sure it is quite lucrative, right? And John Calipari can and probably will hit him with the whole pitch that we've heard time and time again about not tripping over pennies on the way to $200 million in the league. Sure. Right. But I also know that Arkansas has enough money to make it interesting if they want to. And the question is whether or not Kenny is high enough on the board. And I say, well, he's one of the top point guards in his class. He's one of the best players in the yeah, I understand all that, but I'm saying high enough on the board relative to the other guys that you're on. Like, are you willing to stretch the funds for Kenny when you know that you're also all in on Brandon McCoy or Baba Oladaton or Jordan Smith Jr. or Arafan or whoever? So how would I handicap this going into the visit? I think Kansas is in the driver's seat. Louisville maybe still lurking around. Arkansas unlikely, but certainly a wild card. Let's just see what John Calipari has up his sleeve here, because I do believe that him honoring his visit, Tay Kenny honoring his visit to Arkansas and moving it up to make sure he gets it in here before decision time, it's at the very least a notable development that we shouldn't just brush off just because he has some smoke elsewhere. That's kind of where I'm at with it. So trust me when I tell you, nobody likes to see John Calipari getting a last-minute visit when they're recruiting a kid. That's usually a bad omen. It's like the black cat walking across the street, right? Walking underneath a ladder, whatever. You break a mirror. It's bad luck for 7 years. When John Calipari sneaks in at the end of a recruitment, a lot of times it doesn't mean good news for the other people recruiting a kid. Is that going to be the case here? We'll see. But I'm fascinated by it. It's a cool twist here in the recruiting world, and it just adds to what we've talked about is just an epic week in terms of the recruiting trail for Arkansas basketball, not just in terms of this class, but historically speaking, because you got Jordan Smith Jr. He's the top guard in the class, number 2 overall prospect in the class, depending on where you look. Arafan, clearly the number 1 center in the class. They're both in here this weekend. And now right before they arrive, you're sneaking in, the top point guard in the country as well. A hell of a trio coming to Fayetteville. You'd like to wind up with at least one of these guys when it's all said and done, wouldn't you? So a lot to look forward to on the recruiting trail for sure. And hey, John Calipari is also out on the road at Southeastern Prep in Florida on Tuesday to see some big time 2027 ballers. Like they look to the future around here. Also, 3 guys that we've talked about in our 2027 early look ahead preview, but CJ Rosser was out there, one of the top prospects in the class who already holds an Arkansas offer. Cal was out to see him. And he also extended 2 more on Tuesday. 1 to Obinna Akizi, who's number 2 overall prospect in the 2027 class. Big fella over there. Really, really talented player. He's a lot of fun. Somebody that we're going to talk about a ton. I would imagine we'll go more in depth on that later in the week. Obviously, this is a reaction here to Tay Kinney, but also, of course, we saved the best for last. The legend, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Beckham Black. Anthony Black's little bro gets an offer as well from Arkansas. You love to see it. It would not look right. It wouldn't feel right for him to wear any other college uniform. He needs to be a Hog. He needs to be wearing 0. I said what I said. So the 2027 board is evolving here as well. But like I said, just want to hit you guys with a quick react to the news here on Tay Kinney this evening, and we'll keep an eye on it. We'll get some feedback, and we'll certainly share that as we move forward throughout the course of the week. But appreciate everybody for tuning in with us real quick here at the Pod at the Palace. Make sure to subscribe where you need to get subscribed, the Inside Arkansas YouTube channel. Turn those notifications on that way you're notified anytime new content like this that's unexpected drops on you, so you can be the first to listen to it. And find us wherever you find your podcasts in audio format, Apple, Amazon, Spotify, wherever you listen. And we'll catch you guys. Make sure you tap in for the other episode. It's going to be a lot of fun in the morning, just projecting out some of the statistical leaders for this soon-to-be Arkansas Razorback basketball team. A fun episode. I'd love your feedback on that and see what you guys think. So out of here, we'll see you guys in the morning. It's been Curtis Wilkerson, the Pod at the Palace. You guys have a good day. We'll catch you tomorrow.